4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, Rick Danford.
Hello there.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Rick, you're one of those people who I knew your name the minute Monique said it, but it's like I've never met you in person. So it's like you're a presence, you're all around, but I just haven't met you for the first time. So it feels good to meet you finally.
It's kind of spooky.
Yes. But I noticed that you're usually involved with a lot of networking events and things like that.
I try to attend as many as I can. I definitely do some stuff on the internet as well. I have a Facebook group called Tampa Bay Filmmakers that's gone over 1,000 members, and basically I just try to put links in there to help people with any with education as far as equipment, casting calls, anything and everything that can help the local filmmaker, actors or actresses.
Well, that's good. That's awesome. Does it cost any money?
Nope, it's free.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear.
Absolutely.
So, congratulations.
Thank
You
you.
are the winner of Creature Feature 2019.
Yes.
Which category did you win, by the way?
We won 5 of them. We won Best Film, Best Script, Best Cinematography, Best Editing, and Best FX.
Yeesh.
Yay.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Admittedly, I haven't seen the film yet.
Oh, I'm out of here.
Is it online yet?
No, technically we can't have it online yet because it's been submitted to several different film festivals, so they don't like to have that out there publicly.
You see, this is why, like, when we had to talk about, like, what kind of release are we going to do? A festival release, digital release, or online? I'm always on the side of online.
Yeah.
I want to have it, like, immediately. I want to share it immediately. And I want the actors to have their footage and stuff immediately. But the festival is good, too. It's a networking event. You go, you show yourself. Other people are there. You get to meet people and all that cool, good stuff. But then it's, like, there for a circuit. So it's like some people have a long circuit. They're, like, through the festival for, like, I think some films go for a couple of years.
They can be, because that's the thing, is that you can get some films and submit them. Like I submitted to one over the weekend, I think, and the notification date isn't until February or something like that, and the actual event isn't until like April or May of next year. So I mean, it could be out there. But the good thing, what I've done is I've gone ahead and sent clips to the different actors and actresses because they've needed it and wanted it and stuff. And to me, that's only fair. They get their work. So I've sent clips to them, and the movie's already been accepted into the Tampa Bay Underground Film Festival, and another film festival as well, Southeast Regional, accepted it just recently. So it's already been accepted to 2. So we'll see. Plus also, we submitted it to Mothers Against Drunk Driving because it's basically a drunk driving story, and they love the script and they want to use it and send it out through their social media and make it part of like an educational film.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. And I'm glad you're one of these guys who gets the footage to the actors really fast because it's such a pain sometimes.
It's important.
Now, what's the name of the film?
The name of the film is called Look to the Flowers.
Look to the Flowers. Does it have a Facebook page?
Mm-hmm.
It did?
It does.
And I did not find it?
It should be facebook.com/Look to the Flowers. Or you can go to the official website, which is www.looktotheflowers.com.
Oh, you did the website too.
Yeah, and I think on the bottom of that website there is a Facebook link if I remember correctly.
That's good.
I meant to put one, if not.
I got to put the www.
Yeah. Just skip a space. Look to. Looks like you skipped a space between look and to.
Look to the flowers.com. Did I do it right?
It looks like there's a space here, but yeah, that should be the first one, that first link there.
Here we go.
There we go.
Yes. Look at all those awards.
Those are nice.
Nothing makes me want to watch a movie more than when I see palm leaves. Best film, baby.
Yep.
Best script. Best cinematography. Best editing. Best FX. You just wiped everything out, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Just went overboard.
I think there were only 2 that we didn't win. One of them we were nominated for 2nd place, and the other one was Best Death, and we didn't have a death scene in the movie, so I just didn't qualify.
Now, for those who don't know, Creature Feature, the kind of main thrust behind this particular competition and film festival is there's always a creature in there. What were your guys' creature?
We had it was ghosts.
Ghost? Okay.
Yes.
Ghosts. And I like that it's not a certain kind of creature that you have to have, as long as it is a creature. It could be a vampire, zombie, ghost, werewolf, all that good stuff. How was your runtime? How did it come out?
Well, for the contest, it had to be between 5 and 8 minutes. If it would have been 8 minutes and 1 second, it wouldn't have qualified. It actually came in at 7 minutes and 59 seconds.
Nice.
And there's a trailer there too.
Oh, can we watch the trailer?
Absolutely.
Let's watch the trailer. I want to see this. I believe in making trailers, even if you did just a short film. Oh, I think I had it queued up here. Here we go. Make sure that it's going to go to the thing. Oh, this is look at the... oh, here we go. Nope. Sorry, if we can't hear it in our ears, they can't hear it. Let me just switch the input. I think I had it the right way the first time. It's gonna sound like trash. Let's try this now. I like this. I like when the trailer. I like trailers that don't give away too much.
Yeah.
I like teasers.
Me too. And with an 8-minute film, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah. Yeah, but basically you're gonna put a quarter of the movie in the first minute.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome. So this is a drama.
Yes, as a matter of fact, that was our we had when we picked the genre and the creature. The genre was either drama or psychological, and the creature was, I believe it was just ghosts. But for psychological, it's so hard to do that in an 8-minute window. Mm-hmm. So we went ahead and we picked drama, and then we picked ghosts, and then I came up with an idea in about 30 minutes, and wrote the first draft of the script that same night, and off we were.
So what's the process like for creature features? So that's a 2-week time limit, right?
Yeah, essentially what happened is they had like an opening event. All the teams that paid to be in there went to the opening event, and then they called you up one team at a time. I couldn't be there because I was attending a wedding, so I had a representative go there. My script supervisor, Cookie Reyes, she went there, and then they gave her, I guess, 2 jars. The first jar is genre. She picked out either the drama or psychological. Then the second jar was creatures, and she picked out ghosts. Ghosts or demons, I think it was. So we ended up choosing ghosts and drama. So once she texted me what we picked, then while I was at the wedding, I was formulating the idea for the script and put that together like in about half an hour or so. Drove home from the wedding, wrote the first draft of the script, tweaked it a lot, and then went ahead and sent it out to the actors because I wanted to give them as much time as possible to work with their lines, because since it's a 2-week process, we had 1 weekend to shoot. So I figured I'd give them 3-4 days to learn their lines. We'll shoot that following weekend, have a couple days for pickups if need be. But I also like to do as much as I can to make it as professional as possible. So I wanted to make sure we had enough time to do a lot of color correcting. We had some visual effects that were added. We had musical score that was actually added. My composer actually had 2 days to go ahead and put together a score for it. We had an original song that was used in there. So I like to try and make it as professional as possible. I didn't want to just make something that was good enough just to show at that particular event. I wanted to make something that was good enough to, I think, submit to several different festivals. I think we did.
Well, it must have been good enough because you won all those awards. And so Pretty fun process.
What was that?
Pretty fun.
Oh, yeah, it's always a pretty fun process because I just enjoy the whole filmmaking process as a whole. I mean, in a situation like that with a 2-week film challenge, there can be a lot of stress. There's no doubt about that. But if you've got a group of professionals that are together, that understand the process, that know the time constraints, and they're willing to bend over backwards. Like last year, we had a film called Mirror, Mirror. It was a horror film that basically told the story of Bloody Mary. And we shot in a little haunted house that was about 110 degrees inside. We had 1 day to shoot, and we were out there till I think 6 o'clock in the morning. And I remember we just tried to do everything we could because since you're an indie film and you're not really paying people much at all, you want to try and make it a fun process. You want to also try and make sure that you don't waste people's time because they're out there and they're doing all this stuff in unbearable conditions sometimes. So we had to move things along while making it fun. And we came together so nicely. They were out there in the street at like 3 o'clock in the morning singing and dancing to keep, staying awake and stuff. So that's when you know you've got a good set and everybody's working together. When you have that, that's magic.
That is magic. And, professionals can be hard to find sometimes.
Yes, they can. And to me, that's the thing is that your reputation is what's going to be out there. Next time you go to make a movie, when you go to cast somebody, they're going to ask people, have you worked with this guy before? And you want to make sure that your reputation is solid. So you want to treat people good and give them a good product and make sure you give them what they came for.
Yeah, the last thing you want is somebody saying, oh, that guy's a prick.
That guy's
you don't
a
want
prick.
to work with that person.
He doesn't pay me. His movie's garbage. I can't get my clips. It's not worth doing it. And word spreads quickly, so you can't have that.
Yeah. Benefits of being in the small market.
Mm-hmm.
Word gets around. So how did you pick your cast and crew?
To tell you the truth, with this one, last year I did it where I had pretty much a couple of people already set aside and stuff. This year I decided I wanted to have my magic man, which was Chuck Terzian, because Chuck is just such a great guy with everything that he can do. Not only is he gifted as far as, as a DP and everything else, but the guy, he's amazing when it comes to figuring out camera movement. He'll do whatever it takes, whenever it takes. The guy's like 24/7. He's, he's going to get everything from him. So once I had him in place, then everything else just kind of came together as far as the crew did. But what I normally do is I put out a casting call. And you can't put out a casting call like a regular film saying, okay, we're looking for this role that has to be this type of person and yada, 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 because you don't know what even the genre or anything is going to be. So you put the word out there that, hey, we're going to make a 2-week film challenge. We're looking for people that are interested in doing it, but this is what it's going to entail. You're going to have to be quick. You're only going to have a couple days for your lines. We're going to have 1 weekend to shoot. It's going to be all kinds of hours because we have that time frame. So you get those people to submit their information to you, so that way when you do decide on the script and you do decide on the story and you start putting your characters out there, then you've got a talent pool to pull from. So with that, I was able to say, okay, well, with this character here, I like this person, and you just get them as quick as possible and get them in their process. But also you want to try and know the people that you're going to be getting to some extent. You want to do, I like to try and work with as many people as I can, so I like to try and network and build, because you never know what you're going to need later on. And when I go to get another film, I could say that I work with this person. I have a good pool to pull from because I work with these people. But you also want to make sure you try and pick people that you can trust, because you've got that quick turnaround time, you're going to have long hours, and you want to make sure these people are going to show up and do their job and do it well, or else it's just not worth it.
That's true. This time around, so did you work with people that you've worked with before, or were there new faces?
This time around, I worked with Termaine, who was in my Mirror, Mirror last year, so I did work with her. I worked with Nick Canning. This is the first time I think I've worked with him on screen, but I've known Nick for several years, and I've worked behind the scenes with him on other films, and I know he's a good actor, and he's a great guy, and he was also my editor. Mimi Finley, who was the main star, that's the first time I've ever worked with her, but she's like family, and I've known her and made it a point to try and work with her in something, so I figured, okay, I'm going to do this. Jeannie West played the mother, and I hadn't worked with her before except in a little theater experience, but I knew her, I knew of her, what she could bring to the table, and I was good friends with her, so I knew I could count on her. And James Michael Roddy played her husband. I've never worked with him before, but I've known him for many years, and I know what he's capable of. So these are people that I've known, I've networked with, I've seen work, and I know what they're capable of, but I hadn't had the chance to work with them yet, and I wanted to take advantage of that, so I was able to.
Well, that's awesome. Did you run into any issues with anyone?
No, everybody was great. Everybody showed up when we had to. Everybody was it was a great set, a lively set. This was probably the one film that really went off without a hitch. It was amazing. Knock on wood, wherever that
does sound amazing.
It really is.
Man, because it's like beginners don't realize how many ways a film can fail. You can fail because people don't show up. You can fail because, your equipment starts to fail. You can fail because you run out of time. You can fail because of weather. Mm-hmm. And when things just work, it's like, it's almost scary. Like, something's supposed to be going on wrong right now.
Right.
I got to be on edge. I got to be on guard. Something's going to happen. Mm-hmm. That's at least how I am.
Oh, yeah.
But when it works and it just happens, then I guess you can just credit just years of experience. Good planning.
Mm-hmm. And thinking on your feet, because that's the thing is that in an indie film scene, you don't have a full crew sometimes. You don't have where they've got an entire warehouse roped off for you and police around the place, preventing people from making noise or no planes flying overhead and this and that. You're an indie film. You're guerrilla warfare, basically. You're out there trying to steal scenes and do everything you can. So you have to be able to think on your feet. When something doesn't work, you have to be able to have a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D. And to me, those are the best filmmakers, is because they're going to encounter everything you can think of that happened and stuff you didn't even figure would happen. And to be able to overcome that and get stuff done in that time. I mean, it's not the studio, where you can just say, cut and that's it and we'll pick it up tomorrow, or reshoots, whatever it is. You can't do that.
Yes. I 100% agree with you. When you say plan B, C,
and D.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. I'm working with for the second short film Tampa Film Network's doing. Mm-hmm. Austin is directing it, and he has Austin Newman.
Oh, okay.
He's never actually had an understudy for an actor before, and I'm all about the plan A, B, and C, and especially when it comes to what I identify as choke points, things where if this goes wrong, the whole project could be screwed up. So naturally, your leading actors, if they don't show up or something happens to them, your project is messed up. So I believe in having understudies. So in case somebody gets sick, somebody has an emergency, understudy steps up. He's like, oh, I've never done that before. And I'm like, oh, you've been lucky. It's like having good health without health insurance. You were lucky you didn't get into a car accident, get sick, get the flu or something like that. But it's definitely a practice that I'm shocked that more people don't do, given how many things just get canceled all the time.
And even for simple things, I mean, like, remember, as an independent film, you're more than likely not going to be paying your actors and actresses, or if you are, you're paying them very little, okay? So there's that chance that you could get somebody and we're going to film in 2 weeks and they're getting their lines ready, and then all of a sudden they get offered another job on another film that's paying them, regular rates or a SAG project or something like that, and it's hard to really get upset with somebody like that, because this is their passion, this is their dream. You got to give them the best opportunity, but that can happen. There's no contracts. You know what I'm saying?
That's correct. I get upset easily. If you tell me you're going to film on a certain day, and you blocked it out, I expect you to be there. So it's like, I understand. If a job pays versus a job that doesn't, generally the idea is you want to get paid for what you're doing. But if you make a commitment to someone and they're doing the same work that you're doing for free, then if you dip out, that's like screwing everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, I always tell people, I try to tell people ahead of time, and I think everyone who's worked with me for more than one project understands, like, don't cancel. Like, if you have something that could possibly come up, let me know. Because I don't like surprises, especially on the day. And it's just like you said, you've got to not waste people's time. So the only way you're going to do that is make sure you have an understudy. Make sure you have, plans so that no matter what happens, we're going to film, we're going to finish. That's my soapbox.
Yep. Have it planned out. Put a schedule in place. What I like to do also is I like to create a secret Facebook group. So whenever I have a film, I put together a little secret Facebook group. I invite everybody there so I can post a script. I can post call sheets. I can post questions. Everything is there. Everything is laid out. Everybody's on the same page. I mean, as long as you're transparent, what more can you do?
It's so much easier that way.
But you learn that with experience.
Yes. Oh, my God. Sometimes people, they just grate my nerves. They're like old school. They're sending emails. It's like, I'm supposed to take this and then try to make sure that everyone else gets it by email. Some people don't check their email for days. It's just too much of a problem. I just try to put them all on the same page, just like you're saying. That Facebook group is invaluable. I don't know why anyone who doesn't. I don't know why anyone doesn't make a Facebook group.
It's a free service.
It's free.
Mm-hmm.
You post something, everyone gets it. You tell everyone to turn on their notifications. You create an event. They all show up to the rehearsal or whatever. The collaboration is easy. People upload the photos of wardrobe and all that stuff. It just makes too much sense not to do it.
Somebody comes to you with a question. What time is the call time? Did you check the Facebook group?
Exactly. Did you check? So I love that. I love that you're doing that. I hope more people do that. If you're not doing that, start doing it.
Start doing it.
Look into it. It will save you time and headache.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get started in this? Like, when did you first get involved with filmmaking?
Oh, my God. Many, many, many years ago. When I was a little kid, my earliest memories were I wanted to be a stuntman because I was a big Burt Reynolds fan, and there was a movie that he did called Hooper, which was back in the late 70s that I saw reruns of. My dad showed me it, and he was a stuntman in the movie, and I really wanted to be a stuntman, and I used to throw myself off the house onto cushions and all kinds of stuff like that until I realized that this is dangerous, and then I started getting into acting, and then I actually borrowed my dad's little 8mm camera once, and I filmed a little short film called The Hit in my parents' front yard when I was like 11, something like that, and that's when the bug kind of hit me. But it took me many, many years before I finally started doing some stuff. I met a couple of friends. We filmed a short film called Blood Money early on, and it was a disaster, but it was fun. And then we decided, since we don't know what we're doing, we're going to go ahead and we're going to write a feature film script. So we wrote a feature film script called The Web of Darkness. It was about vampires. And the plan at that time was to write it and send it off and try and get it picked up by somebody. But as the writing process was going and we were enjoying it more and more, reading and stuff, we started thinking, why don't we just make this movie ourselves? We can do this, right? So we went ahead and decided to do it. I interviewed another production company that was, they're not doing it anymore, thank God. But I decided to go ahead and get another production company to go ahead, since we've never made a film, and have them handle everything behind the camera. So they agreed, okay, we'll take care of everything behind the camera. All you got to do is work with the actors to get across what you need, and we're good to go.
Simple, right?
Simple, piece of cake. Of course, from day one, none of that worked out. But and we ended up making it even worse on ourselves, where we were trying to think about marketing at the same time. So, because I'm all about marketing, I went ahead and I reached out to a guy named Tom Savini, who's a legend in the genre. He was in From Dusk Till Dawn with George Clooney. He was in Dawn of the Dead, all kinds of stuff like that. So he was always a hero of mine. So I reached out to him. He read my script. He loved it. We flew him in. We flew Brink Stevens, who's a legendary scream queen, in. They did their parts. I remember the first day of filming, we filmed at the State Theater in St. Pete. And I remember driving up, and there were like lines of people outside waiting. The news crews were there and everything to interview us, and the whole bit, it was surreal. It was like big Hollywood. So it was something else. But from day one, issues happened. That crew that we had that were taking care of everything, the first day of shooting, sound guy couldn't work. He got another gig. Couldn't work for us. We had nobody to run sound. So my partner was learning how to run sound as we were making this movie. The DP, turns out he was a still photographer. I didn't know this. So the entire movie, he's eliminating shadows, when you got to realize as a filmmaker that you're supposed to utilize shadows, Yeah. But those are all things that we learned. So to me, that was 4 weeks of film school in a can. We learned more about making movies in that disastrous experiment of a movie than we would have ever learned in years of film school.
Were you guys able to get it on track on day one? Like, all right, we found out you didn't use the shadows, so now we're going to start using the shadows.
Let's just say that we had so many problems, we ended up firing the production company that worked for us 3 times during filmmaking. Finished the film on our own when we didn't know how to do this. When we got done, I didn't think nobody thought we could even have a finished product, but I worked with my editor for about 1.5 years after that, finishing and at least getting a final cut, because my mission was to at least finish that film and get it out there. If that film didn't make $1, I don't care. I just want to have a completed film done and finished, and we did get that done. It's out on DVD. It's sold a few copies, but nothing major. But the bottom line is we finished it. It's in the books. It's history. It's, experience. Onward and upward.
Well, that's good. So you develop that, that drive to make sure that you get your finished product very early.
Oh, yeah.
When was this, by the way?
2001.
Okay. So I believe you told me you act as well.
Yes, I do.
Did you act first before everything else?
I did act first, mainly in school, and I acted with a couple of other friends and some stuff. I've done bit parts in various short films. One was a zombie film called Afterlife that my friend Nolan Collins made. I was a zombie there. I was a walk-on in like a parody of Michael Myers called Hanukkah. I was a walk-on there. I actually played minor roles in a TV movie called The FBI Murders that starred David Soul from Starsky and Hutch and Michael Gross from Family Ties and Tremors. I was an extra there, and I was also an extra on a film called Phantom of the Ritz that starred this girl, Deborah von Valkenburg, I think her name is. You probably don't know the name, but if you ever remember the movie The Warriors, she was the girl in The Warriors. So that with the gang, Warriors come out to play. Oh. Are you that young, sir?
I'm sorry, I'm that young. I saw a movie based on the Warriors.
Really? What movie was that?
The Purifiers.
Oh, I've heard of that.
It's basically a more up-to-date version that took place in the UK, but it's like they go through, they encounter all the different gangs and whatnot, and it was like a martial arts film, but it was inspired by the Warriors. So it was the Warriors of my generation.
I'm gonna have to check that out. But I'm told they're remaking the Warriors. MTV is supposed to be remaking it, but who knows if that's ever gonna happen. But so I did those bit parts acting, and I enjoyed it and stuff. But I really got into the writing process, and I really got into directing. Once I directed my first film, that was my bug, because even to this day, I think I've directed probably 20, 25 short films or something, and to this day, it still, sets my soul on fire and puts a smile on my face when I see an actor or actress reciting lines that I wrote. I mean, that's a special feeling that'll never go away.
I got you. So, directing, is that, are you comfortable just being a director from here on out, or do you want to continue to do writing, directing, acting, everything?
I'd like to continue doing everything. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to get more into acting again as well. I've got a movie coming up, Dawn of the Dead, that I've written a nice role for myself. That's one of the beauties of being a writer and director, is that I can write a role premium for me that's built for me because I'm the one writing it. So we're looking at getting that going next month as well. And But if I had to choose one side or the other, I'd be behind the camera. I just love the whole creative process and the writing of the films and working with the actors and getting, tapping into their emotions and getting what you need from them, and the angles and lighting and cinematography. It's like every day is a learning experience.
Yeah. Plus it's fun being the boss.
Yeah, it is. But then again, remember, as an indie film, it's not quite like a director. In a director in a studio project or whatever it is, that's all he does is work with the actors. He's got professionals on every corner doing every little thing for him to allow him to just say yes to the DP and work with the actors and however many takes it needs and whatever, and it's a controlled environment. As an indie film director, you're wearing multiple hats. I'm moving lights. I'm helping with sound. I'm getting, I'm running out to get pizza in between stuff, whatever it is. So an indie director is not really just a director, but it is nice being the boss, and it is nice being the guy that's going to oversee everything. But then again, it's also the guy responsible for everything.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a give and take.
That's true. The ironic thing is I also started off as an actor, and when I got into the position, and that was because I didn't have many roles offered to me, but when I got into position to write myself roles, I found myself not doing that almost ever.
Really?
So I enjoy the other parts. Like I enjoy screenwriting. I enjoy cinematography. I'm learning to love sound, and that's kind of what I do now, because those sound people are kind of hard to find.
They are.
A lot of people, if they want to jump in the film, on the technical side, cameras, probably the easiest thing that you can start to learn, because everyone's got a phone. Everyone, plays with cameras and stuff. But sound, you got to understand, hertz and waves and sound equipment, preamps, recorders,
Not just that, but technically that's probably the most important thing, because the bottom line is that if you don't have good sound, your movie's done. You can get away and you can cheat and you can do a lot of corrections with video, but if you have bad sound, your movie's going to suck.
Yeah, a terrible sounding movie can suck. I'm not fully there yet with That Will Destroy a movie. Just because they had silent films before, and kind of what we're looking at Tampa Film Network, what we're looking at doing is focusing on silent short films for like the beginner actors, and I think it'll be easier to do those projects as well, because you're not worried about something that's really, really major. And I think we'll have music underneath, and the actors will be more focused on like show instead of tell. Still acting, just not too reliant on dialogue. So it's kind of like just acting with your eyes, the emotions and the actions of a character in a story. So I'm interested to see how that goes. I think it'll go well.
Well, we're actually getting ready to do the opposite of that.
Oh yeah.
My Dawn of the Dead project. Basically, it's a web series. It's a zombie web series that we're going to basically break down into 8 episodes, and then we're going to have it to where each episode will come out individually, be a standalone feature. But then when you combine the 8 episodes together with an additional 15 to 20 minutes of footage that, like bridging footage, it'll be one big feature film. So we've shot a pilot for it, and the pilot turned out really well, and it won a couple of festivals and stuff, but it wasn't quite what I was looking for, so we've kind of put it on the back burner, deciding if we're going to do anything else as of yet. And my friend Austin Janowski, who's a part of the process also, we've decided we're going to create audio dramas. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but I've listened to audio dramas almost all my life, and the audio drama is where you've got no visual. You're just basically reciting the words over the thing. And the thing is, with an audio drama, since you're not seeing the visuals, the dialogue has to be tweaked enough, because in the dialogue, you're explaining what's going on and you're giving them direction during the course of giving your lines and stuff. So it's a whole different atmosphere. And then you've got, of course, sound effects and Foley and stuff like that for doors opening and shots and running noises and this and that. So it's a really cool experience, because it's allowing you to visually see the movie yourself in your head rather than seeing it played out on screen based on what you're hearing audio wise. So we're going to be creating audio dramas for that.
Well, that sounds like a good idea.
Something I swear.
Sorry, AI runs the house. That's a good idea. We were looking at we were like going back and forth between what I was telling you with the silent film, and we had our own audio only idea, which was more, it was like a call center where like it was like the story was this call center gets bought by this big conglomerate or whatever, and they want to fire all the workers there, but they can't contractually, so they just force them out and put them in some shitty office and make them take customer service calls. And because they can't be fired, they are the worst customer service reps ever, and they try to tank the bigger company's reputation. So it was like we were going to do a bunch of customer service calls that are just funny as hell about being bad customer service reps, or having calls with people who are just snotty customers, and and just kind of tell a story from call to call to call. But we ultimately went with the other thing. But I like both. I'm interested in both. Yeah. It's just you only got so much time.
I've worked at a call center for many, many years, as a matter of fact. And just to give you a funny story, which is kind of tapping into what you were just talking about, I worked for Packard Bell. That was one of my first call center experiences. And towards the end of that project, they were telling us that basically we all felt that the Packard Bell project was getting ready to go under, but they wouldn't really officially tell you that. So they basically told us as customer service reps, they said, okay, at this point here, whenever a customer calls in, they've paid their $9.99 or $10.99, whatever it was, their service fee, okay? Whatever they call in for, I don't care if it's a Packard Bell product or they want therapy, you have to help them. So I remember some lady calling in asking me how to get her Talk to Me Barbie that she just bought to her daughter for birthday. I had no idea what that was. So here I am searching on the internet trying to find what is a Talk to Me Barbie and trying to help her. So it had a lot of interesting calls, because you're basically figuring out what you're supposed to do to try and help this person on the phone with stuff that you've had no experience whatsoever. So it got to be kind of crazy and fun at the same time.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did some call center work selling cell phones. Not fun. Hate it. But like I would get that humor, like all of that, because sometimes you're selling phones and you haven't had time to read up on the new features and whatnot. So you're saying, oh, this thing's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's got all this, yippity yap or whatever. Then you got the customers who know all that shit, and they're like, oh, really? So, how many megapixels is a new camera? Because I heard that it's got dual pixels now. It's like, yeah, it's got dual pixels. And what is the difference between dual pixels and, oh, shit.
Google?
Yes, exactly. Do you feel like it's the best time for filmmaking?
I mean, I think it's always a good time for filmmaking, because to me, that's something that is never going to dull. Because everybody likes either the escapism, because they've either got the long drawn-out jobs, they've got all kinds of drama going on, so they go to the movies to escape, to get into somebody else's world. They like to go to see horror movies. People keep saying that horror movies are going to go away and horror movies are dulling down. Never. Everybody likes that adrenaline rush. Everybody likes to be scared. There's just something primal about that. It's always going to be there. It may continually evolve depending on the type of films and stuff like that, but horror is always going to be something. So to me, films are always going to be something. And now, I mean, you think about it. Look at all the different streaming services that are coming out: Disney Plus and Shudder and Netflix and Hulu and every other station or whatever. They're all looking for content.
Yes.
So to me, what's going to help filmmaking is because now you have so many different outlets and so many different venues.
Yes, I've been telling people that for years.
Yes.
I was trying to tell them when Netflix was still sending DVDs in the mail. I was like, yo, this is the best thing ever. Like, they're going to blow up, and then you're going to be copycats everywhere. They're going to need a lot of content. Like, TV is the future. I wasn't saying TV is the future, but I was basically saying, like, we should be focused on serial type of stuff because that's what these services are going to want to have people do. And I don't know why, but the focus has always been on films and short films, and I understand why, but I just felt like what you were saying makes sense about taking shorts and combining them, you know, as well as having the benefit of being able to release an episode every so often or whatever. So
there's a lot of filmmakers that I've come to know that are substantial filmmakers that have been doing this for a little while that can't stand short films, and they always tell me, stop wasting your time with short films. But you have to understand, you have to get into short films understanding about short films. You're never going to make a lot of money from short films. You can't get into short films to make money. There are avenues to make money, but essentially the one person that explained this to me the best is look at a short film as a digital calling card. Okay? You're making this one little condensed film that's got a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you're putting it out there. Okay? So it's basically a feature film in a can. Okay? You're putting it out there. You're showing your talents as a writer, as a director, as an actor, anything like that. You're putting all that information out there. Also, if you market it right, what you're doing is you're putting a short film out there to get the opportunity to get somebody to look at it and say, hey, I bet that'd be great as a feature film.
yeah,
I don't know how many short films I can name to you right now. Look at the movie Lights Out. That was $100+ billion feature film, whatever it is. That's based off a 2.5-minute short film that somebody saw on YouTube. They got a new movie that was a movie that was just sent to one of my film festivals 3 years ago. It was called The Cleansing Hour. A great short film that when I saw it, I said, man, that would be awesome as a feature film. It's on Shudder right now as a feature film that was created, was picked up and put out there. There's so many things. It's a movie called Bobby Loves Mangoes. Never been made, okay? That's the other thing, too. If you're looking at just the money aspect, this movie was made probably 10, 15 years ago. The word has it that somebody that was involved with Tom Cruise saw it, told Tom Cruise about it. Tom Cruise thought it was hilarious, loved it, bought the rights to this movie just to put it on the shelf. Has never made it, may never make it, but that filmmaker got paid. That filmmaker's got an IMDb credit, you know what I'm saying? They can go on and do other things or whatever it is. So to me, it doesn't matter. Sometimes they buy movies just to keep them from somebody else getting them and developing them or whatever. Either way, the filmmaker still gets paid.
yeah.
Once you get paid, you get past that red tape and you get in there and your movie starts getting, your script start getting first look deals, and that's it. It's just getting past that red tape.
Yeah, that's kind of a downer. I've heard of that happening where studios buy products to keep them off the market. That's gotta feel kind of bad because when you sell something, you kind of have the expectation that somebody's gonna take it and do something that you can't with it. So it's like, oh, well, they bought it just to keep you from making it. That's kind of
they bought it to keep somebody else from making it. Is what it is. And I understand where you're coming from. When you write something, you put something in it. There's a piece of you in there, and you want to see it made. That's the whole purpose of you writing it. You're not writing something just so somebody can gives you a paycheck or whatever it is, and then you're on to something else. But as a filmmaker, you need to have multiple things going. You need, because I learned a long time ago when I went to the the Cannes Film Festival, and I went there and we tried to attend the film market and everything. And somebody sat us down and they gave us, an unbelievable little schooling. And they told me, they said, if you ever go in front of any kind of distributors or any kind of producers or anything like that, and you want to try and pitch your script, sure, go for it, knock it out. But have at least 5 other scripts ready. Because the last thing you want is them to look at you and says, yeah, that sounds cool, but not really interested in that. What else you got?
Yeah.
And that'll happen all the time. So you need to pitch number 2. I don't know. These guys over there are doing it now. What else? Pitch number 3. Because once you get to that one pitch that they say, hey, I like that, that'll work, then you're in. And then they'll look at other scripts as well. But unless you hit them with that first one, if you go there with 1 and they don't like it, go home.
That would suck.
It would suck, but you got to be ready. It's a business out there.
That's true.
And you got to go in there knowing that.
That's true. Don't want to go there and learning it the hard way.
Because you may only get one shot at it.
Yeah, and you go in there and you're like, but I've been working on that script for 15 years. Oh, that's cool. What else you got?
Exactly. Not interested. Not up my alley.
Oh, man. Well, how How have you ever tried to do that?
Go pitch a film?
Mm-hmm.
Not really. I mean, we went to Cannes because they wanted us to pitch this movie called Death Island that I wrote with Tom Savini, and we really weren't prepared to go there. So we decided, okay, while we're here, we're going to learn what's going on and see what's going on so we can get ahead and better prepare. We didn't want to get in front of producers and pitch something and sound half-assed and not know what we're doing, and God forbid have anybody remember us when we tried to go back and do it right later on. So we just talked to people. We took a lot of notes. We asked a lot of questions. We attended some parties and this and that. We got to know people and stuff like that and just kind of learned and absorbed it and stuff like that. We put business scripts together. We put business packages together and learned the marketing aspect and stuff and just tried to build as much information as we could so when we get out there, because that's the bottom line, is that when you get in front of these people, you want to put your best foot forward. You don't want to look like a complete amateur, because word will spread, if not right there at that market with other people as well, but in the future, if you go back and somebody remembers, hey, I remember that guy, or somebody, or he talked to somebody that I know, and this guy doesn't know what he's doing. They won't even look at you. It's just like sending a script. When you send a script, you got to make sure that you have the script done in the proper format. Mm-hmm. You got to make sure that you've got cover sheets for it. You've got to make sure that you use 2 brads, not 3. You got to have the holes a certain way. And believe it or not, as stupid as that sounds, they said that I've known people that are script readers. That's all they do for these production companies. They read scripts, find out which ones they think are the best to pass them on. They've got stacks of thousands of scripts. They said half those stacks are scripts they've never even read, but they didn't say that the formatting wasn't correct, or they had a picture on the cover of whatever it is, and they tossed it on the stack. That could be War and Peace. We'll never know, because it got discarded because it doesn't go by their code. They've got their strict little code. Before you can even get your script read, it better look and be presented professionally, or else they're not even going to look at it. They're not going to waste their time with it.
Yeah, though that sucks, but I can understand because they have so much to do. They got to have some way to narrow it down.
They get scripts from everybody and their mother.
I never know when it's going to talk to me. Sorry, guys, that's Alexa. Okay. I think there's like a delivery or something coming.
No.
Well, that's the way that it is, I guess.
In the professional world, it is. That's why they're saying that it's a lot better now. I posted an article into my Tampa Bay filmmakers thing about, I think it was from James Cameron, where he said, no, not James Cameron, I forget who it was, but it's a guy who was a very famous cinematographer, screenwriter, director now. And he said, to answer all the questions about people saying that, how do I get my script read? How do I get my script out there? He says, you don't. Get your script, make your movie. He said, you're going to get seen more, you're going to learn more, and you're going to have more of a tool to go out there and get everybody to see what you wanted to see than you'll ever get by having somebody read your script, because it's almost like a catch-22. You can't get a production company to read your script until you've had a script made. And you can't get a script made until you get a production company to read your script. Mm-hmm. And that's the way it is. It's a vicious circle. Unless you have an in, unless you've got somebody on the inside, or you know somebody or whatever, or a friend of a friend or whatever it is can get your script in there, you're not going to get past that red tape. So this guy says, make your movie. If you can't make your movie, film a trailer. Film a condensed version of it, a short film, so you can show your talents and you can get it out there and put it out there on YouTube. He said, you never know who's looking at YouTube. People are scanning YouTube all the time at night just looking at videos. You get somebody to catch their eye, they're going to call their agent, they're going to have their agent check into it and find out, and next thing you know, you're getting a meeting somewhere.
Yeah, that extends not just for filmmaking, but even just, like, if you're an actor, I try to tell them, don't just think that you've made it when you got an agent. First of all, the agent may or may not get you work. Second of all, it's kind of like you gotta have to have a team, right? And this is kind of what you're saying about, don't just write the movie. Go ahead and just make the movie, go through the process, meet all these people, and do all that stuff. If you're an actor, you need an agent, you need a writer friend, you need a director friend, you need a camera person friend, so you can work with all of these people. All of this equals more demo reel. So in that same way, you're going to meet people, you're going to get some stuff out there, and I think actors should be obsessed with creating shit all the time.
Yep.
If I was an actor, I would get me a camera phone, really good camera. I'd be making funny videos all the time, putting them on YouTube for the same reason that you just said. You never know what character that you create will catch somebody's eye. They're making a movie, they need to fill a character. Oh, will this be a funny character? Put it in there. Oh, look at this. They've got their email here. Let me just reach out to them, see if they're available. They got to do it. You got to just create.
Everything you just said, I was just talking about when I came in here. My friend Elisa Yambo, who we talked about, She's an actress. She was in my Mirror Mirror film. She does that exact same thing. She creates monologues. She has little YouTube videos. Some of them are funny. Some of them are dramatic. Some of them are dancing. Anything she can do. She's now doing a podcast. The bottom line is she's creating content.
Yes.
She's got herself a video channel, a YouTube channel out there, and she's putting all that stuff, and she's getting followers and stuff. And you never know when somebody's going to see something, or when a casting director such as myself or anybody else is going to be looking for a particular role, scanning through YouTube and says, she fits that role. Because another thing too is a lot of actors are always saying, when I ask them, do you have a reel? Oh, well, I've made a couple of different films, but I haven't got my clips back yet or whatever. I don't have a reel. I don't have something. A reel is important and it's nice to have. But at the end of the day, you can go onto Google and you can search for monologues, 1-minute monologues. Learn that monologue, sit in front of a camera, put it on tape and put it out there. Yes. Dramatic monologue Monday, comedic monologue Tuesday. Make yourself a YouTube channel. This is all free stuff. And you put it out there. So when a casting director says, hey, look, we're looking for this particular role. It's got to be a dramatic role, yada, yada, yada. Let me send you my link for my dramatic monologue.
Yes. It's so simple.
And easy and free.
Yes, and free. I tell people, like, when we did the casting, I was working with Austin. He's kind of thinking old school. He's thinking auditions and stuff. I'm like, no, I'm going to do part of this casting. Look, I just put in there, here's the sides. Turn your phone on. Turn the camera on, hit record, read the sides, email it to us. Mm-hmm. That's your audition. That's all you gotta do.
That's what I do. When I do my casting, that's the first phase usually. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll put the roles out there that I'm looking for. And I say to people, send me your headshot, resume, and if you have a link for a reel or any kind of a monologue, send me that so I can get a look and feel. And then I go ahead and I go through phase one. Phase one is picking the person or the several people that I think will fit this particular role. Then for phase two, I send them sides. And I have them send me back a little. I don't care if it's a professional looking thing. The bottom line is I want to see them and I want to hear them. That's all I need. I just want to see them and hear them so I can visualize them in that role to see if I think they're good. Then I'll usually narrow that down to the last 2 or 3 people that I want for that role, that I think could fit that role, and then I bring them in for a live audition. That way I can give them direction and tell them, this is what I'm looking for. This is the kind of emotion I'm looking for. This is what I want to see from you. This is where I want you to take this particular role. And I'll videotape them, and then I'll go back and I'll make a decision from that way.
Yes. I mean, the importance of that can't be overstated. Like, just being able to just go on Google and read a monologue, it doesn't have to, you could just be a comedic or dramatic monologue, and you can just kind of use that whenever you don't have reel or you don't have something to offer, just send that. At least you have something. And I mean, there's a guy who sends me like his monologues like almost every week. And I look at him sometimes, but I don't. But sometimes I was looking at it, I was like, man, that was a good read. Like, that was very decent. So when it comes to me thinking of roles and stuff to put in a film, that's going to be in my mind because I saw it. I'm going to know the guy can do it. I'm going to know he's interested because he reached out. It's hard to do this wrong, if you're trying. I think.
That's true.
Just do as much as you can, as often as you can, and try.
And show as much range as you can, because kind of like touching on what you just said, I used to get monologues from this one guy that he used to send me little clips and stuff like that of either commercials that he did or films for other people and stuff, and it was always some kind of comedic situation, and I didn't see him as anything more as that because that's all I ever saw him. And then he started doing monologues, and he did a dramatic monologue, and I'm thinking, wow, I didn't know that guy could do that. And I would never know unless you put it on tape. So put it on tape.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you give yourself the advantage by, you don't ask, you just do it. Yeah. And, all they have to do is see it. And then if it's good, they'll be interested.
The more range you can put on tape, the more options you have.
Yeah. Don't be afraid of range. Go the extra mile. Don't just put yourself on tape. If you have the time, put yourself in costume and go on tape. Put yourself in use an accent and do it. Put a wig on. I think every actress should be bald.
Every actress should be bald?
I think so. This is just my personal opinion. I think every actress should be bald because there's so much you can do with wigs and hair pieces and things like that. It's like, it just gives you so much freedom, None of them are going to do that ever, but I just think that it's an advantage.
In a way, it would be an advantage, but then again, I mean, I've seen movies with women have full heads of hair from one color, yet you see them with a totally different. Like, look at Daenerys from Game of Thrones, with that white hair that she's got or whatever it is. That girl's a brunette.
Dang it,
But
I
she's
haven't
got
seen
this
that.
long. Oh, she's gorgeous. But she's got this long white hair that she puts that wig on for every single episode and stuff. And you can look at her, and she's running around and wrestling or whatever it is, and that wig never moves because they have it on there really so good. So at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what your hair color is. I mean, if they want you to look, unless they want you to be bald, then that's a little different. Even though they can put those skinheads or whatever it is they call that, for the most part, look good. But as far as wigs go, they can put that over anything.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess I'm just the idea that some are just really touchy about their hair. They don't want it to change, and look, you should be wanting it to change. You should be welcome to different looks and things because it just gives you so much more opportunity.
I'm all for it, as you can tell.
Yeah, you're invested. You're in.
I'm ahead of the game.
But now there seem to be two schools of thought with as far as Tampa Film Network, with whether or not doing festivals are a waste of time or not, versus doing just a straight to digital or straight to online release. Where do you sit on that? Because I'm kind of more leaning towards the just go straight to online release.
There is that school of thought, and I can understand that school of thought. There's many aspects because I've done both. There's a lot to be said for film festivals for a couple of reasons. One, because it's always nice to have a movie poster out there that's got laurels that say official selection or finalist or best film. Those help a lot when you're showing that.
Swings
so that's
me.
always nice. It's always nice to have that. Plus, getting accepted into a film festival gives you an opportunity for your cast, your actors, your actresses and stuff to go and have that Hollywood moment. Go take pictures, go and sit in a theater with a bunch of people, seeing their film and seeing them on screen. So you're getting your movie in front of a bunch of film people's eyes, which is always good. Plus, usually, depending on the film festival you submit to, your movie's going to get seen by a bunch of different judges. Like in the Creature feature, my film got seen by Tony Armour, or a St. Pete film director or film commissioner and stuff, and a bunch of different people that I respect in the industry and stuff. They had to see my film, judge my film, send me feedback, which was really great feedback on my film, and put my film through, and ultimately pick my film as a winner. So you get influential people's eyes on your work. So if things happen here and they're making movies and stuff and things are going on, they may think back and remember, hey, this guy is a capable filmmaker, this guy's a capable writer, director, actor, whatever the case may be, because I've seen his work and I know his work, and his work's always winning awards and his work's always getting picked up. Let's call him in on this. Let's get him involved in this project. So to me, that's invaluable because it's like you're marketing your film to these different places. And I like the idea that my film is going to be playing, like my Mirror Mirror. It got to play in Salem, Massachusetts with the Salem witch trial, which was what it was all about. It got to play there in front of those people. It got to play in Germany. It got to play in Canada. So those are people that may never have gotten a chance to see my movie, but they're film people. They're not just people scrolling YouTube at 3 o'clock in the morning looking for something. These are people that are going looking for film, to enjoy film, to talk about, and you're getting in front of them. So there's a lot to be said for that. But I've paid a lot of money in film festival submission fees, and nothing gets me more upset when you think that your film has been put through there and hasn't even been looked at and was just not selected because they didn't either have time, they didn't, because I do also a couple of film festivals myself, so I know how hard it is sometimes. Sometimes you're turning down films that are good films, but you can't show them because they either don't fit what you're looking for, because you're also trying to please the audience that you're going to bring in, and you want to keep them in their seats, so you're knowing what they're looking for. So this may not be something like a foreign film or whatever that you don't think is going to hit with them, but it's a good quality film, but you got to turn it down because it's too long, takes up too much time, or you don't think the audience is going to like it. And it's hard to do that because it's almost unfair, but at the end of the day, you've got to take care of your audience. You've got to take care of your venue. You got to take care of your festival, and you got so many films. For my last Saints and Sinners, we ended up playing, I think, 86 films, but I had 750 submitted to me. So that means, almost 700 films I had to turn down. And out of those 700 films, probably 200, 250 of them were good films that I felt horrible doing. So it's kind of a mixed bag. So I can see both sides of it. But I like the film festival route, but I'm very selective with the film festivals I shoot to now. I mean, unless there's something that I think my film is going to really go over well in a certain market, I'll send it to them. But for the most part, I'll hit T-Buff, I'll hit Sunscreen, I'll hit Sunshine, stuff like that, because those are local here, and it gives my actors and actresses a chance to go out and have their Hollywood moment, because I'm trying to give them as much bang for the buck. Hey, they bent over backwards to come make my film. Let me give them some Hollywood time. Let them go take their pictures and see their movie on screen and get an ovation and talk to people and get congratulated and sign autographs and stuff. You got to do it for them because they'll remember that.
Yeah, that's important.
It really is.
I've learned that more and more over time. because I've kind of been an online focused guy from the beginning. But it's like when I look at like what Orlando Independent Film Festival is doing, for example, like it's all based around the idea of you're gonna make the movie, but the other half of the experience is actually going and seeing the movie in theater, you know. And I always look at that and I go, oh well, you know, it's just local. It's not like you're, you know, nationwide. It's not like you're getting paid for it, but the experience is important. And I've been swayed by the argument that it's a networking opportunity, but I've underestimated the idea that the judges are sometimes really important people, because
Absolutely.
they will hire people to just come and judge it. They'll pay them, they'll fly them in, and these are industry people to come and judge the movie. So that is an opportunity that shouldn't be overlooked as well.
And to get feedback from actual industry professionals that'll give you feedback, even if it's negative feedback, like I didn't like the way this looked, or you should have used this, or you should have used that. That's something that you can grow from. That's something you can take to use for your next film, that you can say, okay, well, now I know what to do here because this guy told me and this guy's in the know. Plus also, like the mirror thing that I did for Creature Feature last year. I sent that to Creature Feature. Creature Feature played it. It won the Audience Choice Award. After that film festival, I got an email from Troma. Troma's a very big distribution company. They sent me the email saying they saw my film, they really liked it, they would like to distribute my film. Once again, this is a 2-week film challenge, 8-minute film that, you know, we spent a couple $100 on, and that's it. You don't expect much from stuff like that. But now, in November, it's going to be streaming on the Troma Now Film Network on their streaming service. So I'm going to get a chance to have thousands or possible millions of people be able to view my film for a little short film that, you know, essentially should have just been a one and done thing with Creature Feature.
Well, that's awesome. What's it like? What's a distribution deal like at this level? I mean, what can somebody expect?
Distribution deal, it really depends on the service. Everybody's big on Amazon right now. Everybody's saying they want to get their film on Amazon. And the bottom line is everybody gets excited and say, hey, you can see my film on Amazon. And that's great. It's nice and everything. But at the end of the day, anybody can get a film on Amazon. Amazon will put any movie out there. As long as you give them the deliverables that they need, they'll put it out there. Because the way Amazon looks at it is that you're not going to make any money in this movie unless this movie blows up. So if you make $1, that means Amazon made hundreds, okay, before you see anything, okay? So getting excited about your movie being on Amazon or something like that is not really the thing, because it's on there. At the end of the day, if eyes aren't watching your film, if people aren't downloading your film, if people aren't requesting your film, if word of mouth isn't spreading and more people are seeing your film, you're not going to generate any dollars, and eventually your film's just going to get sucked up because millions of other people are out there. But like for Troma's a very unique situation. It's a brand new streaming service. They've been in business for many years. They've got a built-in following, and they've got a great deal. We've got a 50-50 deal with them.
Wow.
So, I mean, you can't beat that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still an 8-minute short film, so the chances of us making a whole lot of money is not very good, but it doesn't matter. This is a movie we made for a film challenge, and it should have been done there. Anything we get from it after that's a bonus.
Well, that's a great thing. Yeah. I mean, the only thing, well, I guess maybe people should focus on the use of the platform to just reach more people.
Absolutely.
You know, at the end of the day, because it's kind of like I had a music friend who, they were really good. They're local. They make music, but they want to make money off their music. But they want to charge for their stuff, and it's like they have to decide. You know, do I charge money for my music, or do I just, knowing that it's good, put it out there, hoping that it just reaches as many people as possible, and that's worth something. I kind of tend to think that it's more important to prioritize just reaching an audience and building an audience. If you happen to build up an audience, then if you make something for them, then you could possibly make some money by just like maybe have an album, sell it for $1. If you got 500,000 fans, that can add up.
I'm definitely with you as far as that goes. I understand wanting to monetize and wanting to make money, but at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're limiting your range as far as who's going to get to hear your music.
Yes.
By putting it out there, like you're saying, you're letting it out there for free and letting people know it's still your song. People go and listen to it. They're gonna ask, who did this? There you are. Where can I hear more? They go to your website. They go to your sound page or whatever that case is. So they're going to be directed towards you. It's better to build up a following and get word of mouth spreading on that, because at the end of the day, how many listens you have and how many downloads and stuff like that you have, that's going to get somebody in the industry's attention, and they're going to reach out to you and say, hey, we'd like to maybe do a deal. get you in here, do 3 or 4 songs, put together an EP or something like that, and get you out there and really do it. But they're not going to do that unless the people want it. They're all about money. So they're going to be looking for the people out there that are generating the most heat. And the way you generate the most heat, get that many more people to listen and to watch your stuff.
Yes, I agree with that. So when it comes to projects, are you looking to do? Are you working in a certain genre? Is it just something, do you just decide to do a movie whenever something comes to you? Do you just happen to participate in a project when it comes around every year, and it just kind of happens that way?
In all honesty, I'm kind of psychotic when it comes to stuff like this. A lot of people have called me that because I have to be involved in, like, I don't know what it is with me. I think I'm just crazy, but I have to be involved in multiple projects at the same time. Okay. I've got a horror project going on that we're filming later on this month called Blood Money, which is part of a feature film, it's an anthology film. So this is the first short segment, which is called Blood Money, and then we're going to be shooting the second segment, which is called The Turning, and then another one right after that, and then we're going to shoot a wraparound for an All Hallows Eve feature film. At the same time, we've already shot 2 short segments for an anthology faith-based film I got called Messages of Hope. The first one is called The Lost. The second one is called Something Left to Give. And the third one is going to be called Soulmates, that we're going to film later on, or at the beginning of next year. And then we're going to film the wraparound for Messages of Hope and put it out there. So as far as genre goes, I pretty much love it all. I mean, I've loved everything from westerns to fantasies to faith-based to drama to horror. I think if I had to pick one where my true passion is probably horror, because I just love the horror. I love to be able to try and scare people and stuff, but I'm not one of those ones that likes to make something that's just gross and you want to look at it or obscene or something like that. I'm not into that. I'm looking for something psychological. I'm looking for something that's going to get people excited, that's going to get people talking about it, because if you get people talking, that's generating heat.
Yeah.
And I'm all for that. But I mean, just as much as faith-based, I had my Something Left to Give was accepted into the International Christian Film Festival. So we got to go to Orlando and had our actress nominated for Best Actress and had my script nominated for Best Screenplay. So, and that's one of the biggest Christian film festivals in the world. So that generated a lot of heat for us, and we're very excited about that.
Well, that's awesome. What's it called again?
Something Left to Give.
Something Left to Give. Are there any kind of films that you wouldn't do? Sorry, hang on 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
I get nervous when I can't see either the red light or the green dot. The red light means it's recording. The green dot means it's streaming. If I can't see those, it's like I've had parts from shows missing before.
Oh, okay. No problem.
So.
Anything that I would not do.
Yeah. Any genre.
Porn.
Okay.
Anything like that. I've had people talk to me about that before because it's instant money. But the way I look at it is that once you do that, once you cross that line, that's yours. You got to own that. No matter what you do later on in life, no matter where you go later on in life, no matter who you encounter, there's always that chance that's going to come up that this guy did that. This guy was involved in that. And I don't want my name associated with that. That doesn't help me any. That doesn't. It's inflammatory. It's just it does to me. It does no good. It's not worth the money that I'm going to get from that to have the reputation hits that I'm going to have on the side for that. It's not worth it. I would. The way I look at it is that films are going to outlive us. Many years after I'm gone, there's a chance that somebody's going to watch my film on YouTube. There's a chance somebody's going to see my film in a theater or have my film on a DVD or something somewhere. And I want to be able to have something like that be an enjoyable experience to where somebody's going to look back and say, that guy can make a movie. That guy was a good director or a writer or an actor or whatever it is. And I want to be able to leave an impression. And if we can help some people along the way as well, that's a bonus.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Imagine somebody trying to figure out, is this the same Rick Danford? I didn't know this is also what he did.
Exactly. No skeletons in the closet.
Yeah, I would say it has to be period pieces for me.
Period pieces? You wouldn't do a period piece?
I don't think so, no.
Oh, I would love to do a period piece.
Period pieces, like, even if I had, I guess if I... Look, I'm not going to turn down a paid project, but if it was my choice, I don't think I would ever do a period piece. There's just too much thinking involved with, like, getting just things factually correct and just getting the look. And I'm not a fan of old stuff, anything before the 90s. I mean, I'm not even a 90s guy.
Oh, my God.
And I'm just saying. But I like a lot of movies. I don't know. It's just something about the old look of certain films. Now, I have seen old films, classic films, I'll be polite, and have just been blown away, like Midnight Cowboy, or anything that won awards and things like that. But I don't know, it's just something about older films that just I don't look at them and think that these are just brilliant, because like Austin has seen like all the top AFI recommended or whatever movies, and a lot of them are classics. I just don't look at them in that way. I can see for their time, a lot of movies were really well done, but I don't know. I just feel like as time has gone on, filmmaking has gotten better. I feel like entertainment has gotten better. So I feel like this is the best time that's ever been as far as filmmaking, as far as television. It's the television time for sure, but I mean, I feel like storytelling techniques have gotten better. Maybe the content is not as good as it used to be, but there's a lot of stuff that is really great and really brilliant out there.
Well, I mean, obviously, with anything and in any,
Ouch.
I was gonna say any genre, anything in life, the more you do it, the more practice you get with it, the more experience you have with it, the more you're going to improve upon it. So, I mean, obviously that is the case. But to me, if you can think of a film, an old school film that holds up well today, then that just tells you what an incredible filmmaker or actor or actress those people were to be able to make, like horror movies. Some people talked about, you can go on any website right now and they talk about what is the scariest horror movie ever made. And you'll get people talk about different ones or whatever it is. But the one that you're going to hear probably the most from people is The Exorcist. 1973.
Yeah.
Okay? 1973, and it's still considered the scariest movie today. There's people that to this day still will not watch it. My sister has been seeing that movie since that movie came out, and she's tried to watch it multiple times, and she said she gets to that part where the girl's eyes turn white, and she can't watch anymore from that point on. To this day. And that's 1973. So...
Yeah, you know what? Some of the classics did it right.
Yes.
Horror is one of those things. I do love a good horror film. I like horror when it's focused more on the actual horrific concept versus jump scares and your cheap surprise. The idea that you can be possessed by a demon is an idea that people have been living with, because religion has been around. And just the practicalness of it, and just seeing it happen to people, and hearing reports of it happening, and just seeing it in raw form on film. I don't think it was the scariest film ever, but I certainly got the heebie-jeebies from watching it. And it's all about illusion too with that. So less is more. What's your favorite genre?
Like I said, I think probably my favorite genre has to be horror, just because I've had so much experience in it. Not only watching horror movies from as a kid, but making horror movies and being involved with horror movies. So it's probably horror, plus also horror gets your blood pumping, and it's that adrenaline thing that you can't get from any other genre. But I mean, I've some of my favorite movies are dramatic pieces. That it stick, like Schindler's List, Steven Spielberg. That was a movie I remember seeing in the theaters, and I walked out of the theater, and I was like, from the theater to my car, I don't even remember how I got there. It was just kind of like it affected me so profoundly. To this day, I think about it, and that's why Steven Spielberg is my favorite filmmaker of all time, because he's made movies that have profoundly affected me, made me think, made me cry, made me whatever, made me show emotions that that I didn't know I had or whatever. And that's what I would like to one day be able to impress upon somebody else. If I could make somebody else cry. When we had our film, short film, Something Left to Give, that was probably one of my most profound moments. There's a guy who was a newscaster here for many, many years. His name was Bob Height, and he was incredibly famous and stuff like that, newscaster locally here. He went to my premiere and saw my movie. And I remember, and I'll never forget it, that when my movie finished, we all stood up and everybody was congratulating everybody. He came to me. He had tears in his eyes. He shook my hand. He said, "Rick," he said, "that was the most profound film I have ever seen in my life." And I'm like, wow, how much that movie affected him, whatever it is. It's like that it got to anybody made me feel good. But this is a guy that's like legendary here. If I have him have tears in his eyes and telling me how much my movie affected him, those are the kind of things that you'll take with you to your grave.
Yeah, I want to have that too. I think every filmmaker wants to
absolutely
leave that effect. Just have somebody just completely emotionally invested in their story and just be affected by it.
Yep.
Just not be the same after they leave it.
Absolutely. Then you've done your job well.
So does that tend to happen with certain kinds of material that you take on, or has that only happened once? Or
Well, I had that experience with him there. I've had other people, with The Lost and stuff, tell me what a great movie it was, and they're constantly spreading the word about it and stuff. With this one here, Look to the Flowers, a lot of people are talking about this one as well. I mean, it's had bits and pieces, but like I said, at the end of the day, I still haven't made a movie yet that I've been 100% happy with, because I'm an indie filmmaker. We don't have a lot of money. We're cutting corners. We're making this work. We're juggling things to do here. So it's hard to really get everything in place to finish a movie and say, okay, that's exactly the way I envision my movie to be. I mean, it hasn't happened yet. It's been close, but it hasn't happened yet. But, I mean, I still want to do the best I can to put the best possible product out there, not just for me, but for the people involved. To me, it's just as important to give the people that gave their time and effort to make this movie something they can talk about, something they can put on their reel, something they're proud to put out there and point people in the direction of and see, because then you make you feel like I have paid them. In essence, not only have I given them a little bit of money somehow, but I've paid them in the fact that they've had a movie that's been seen by a bunch of people that are enjoying it and stuff, and that they're when they have a cast. I had the girl, Jeannie West, who was one of my stars in Look to the Flowers. She asked me, she said she had an audition coming up. She said, can I use some of the lines for the movie we just shot, The Look to the Flowers? I said, absolutely, go for it. She used my lines from my movie to go audition for another movie, and because of that, she got the role. That's a great feeling.
Yeah. Oops, my bad.
No worries.
Some days everything works.
And sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it doesn't. But because we're the filmmakers, we know exactly where we fell short. So it's kind of hard to stop obsessing over that.
Exactly.
When it comes to so you do faith projects as well, or
absolutely,
have to do with that genre. Are those any different for you than any other kinds of material?
Not really. I think it's all about the mindset. I mean, faith-based movies have changed so much over the years. I was never big into faith-based films before. They were more like cookie cutter, almost like after-school special type films. That's what they were described as, okay? But they've changed so much with like some of the newer movies, like You Can Only Imagine, that came out here. And there was one called The Interview with God that came out that was so good. And where they're more realistic and more hard-hitting, yet they're hitting where they need to hit as far as with the faith-based genre. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to be preachy. I'm not looking to be an after-school special. I want to talk about issues and stuff that sometimes are difficult to talk about, like suicide or abuse, or human trafficking or something like that, and talk about these hard-hitting things that are real, that are happening every single day, that are scary as hell, but we need to talk about them. But we need to also show that something good can come from this. And show people the right way to go, and show people there is light at the end of the tunnel or something. And if you can do that and do it well, and you get one person that may have been leaning one way to change course because of what you're putting out there, then, I mean, that's all you can hope for.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I've always wondered, like, when it comes to anything, like, it would seem like you would see more of faith-based movies, because it's a huge community of people who believe in God, who are either Christians or any kind of religion, really. Mm-hmm. So like you would expect, and then there's a lot of money in all the religions. So it's like you would expect, well, there should be like at least 10 big Christian movies out this year or something like that. Some big ones have come out. They don't always do that well. Do you feel that way? Do you feel like because of the thrusts, or because of the idea behind faith-based movies being to always either paint something in a negative or positive light, or kind of the things that you were talking about, show the good that can come from it, show the triumph of people devoted to the religion, that kind of hurts them in the storytelling department as far as like how powerful they can be. A lot of people are really positively affected by them, but I mean, as far as like, I never hear anything about like, oh, did you see that great Christian film? Like, it was so great. It's more like, oh, that was a nice film, whenever I hear about a faith-based movie.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. I think people have it labeled, just like you said there, when they talk about a Christian film or something like that. When you automatically hear that, I think a lot of people think about it, I mean, unless it's a Christian community or whatever, a lot of people think about that in a negative aspect, almost like, oh, it's going to be one of those cookie-cutter ABC after-school specials or whatever it is. I'm not interested in seeing something like that. So I think what they're trying to do now is they're trying to break away from that label, yet still have the same message, and that's the key. If you look at one of the most successful ones of all time, Passion of the Christ, I mean, up until Deadpool, that was the highest money-making R-rated film of all time, and that was, a faith-based film. $700 million that movie made. So, and several movies have come out of late, like The Shack, that came out, and like I said, that you can only imagine that have grossed over hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever. So it's definitely changed, but I think that's what they're doing is they're breaking out of that mold of getting people to look at them as a regular film now, as opposed to this cookie-cutter, faith-based, goody-goody after-school special type. Now they're still covering the same ground, and they're still leaving the same message, but they're doing it in a way that I think that they're appealing to the mass market, which I think has been the key.
Gotcha. So, been a good year so far.
So far.
What are you expecting to get done by the end of the year? Anything else you're working on?
Well, the Blood Money short film, which is the first short segment of the All Hallows Eve film, we filmed the first segment of it on the 23rd of this month, and then we're looking to film the big warehouse zombie scenes probably in December. So hopefully we're going to be getting that processed and ready to go by January. And what I'm doing, I'm all about marketing. So what I'm trying to do is we're going to film the first segment as a standalone short film. We're going to release it to several film festivals. We're going to put it out online. We want people to see it. We want to generate heat. We want to get interest, but let people know that, yes, this is a short film. It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end. But at the end of the day, this is going to be one segment for a feature film. So if you like this, you're going to like the rest of it. So while that's out there circulating and generating heat, we're going to be filming the second segment, which is The Turning, which we're going to start filming at the beginning of the year and get that going. And then hopefully the third segment right after that, and then the wraparound segments. That way we'll have the full feature film hopefully ready to go by the middle of the year. But we'll have the first two films that will be released as short films in film festivals online to get people generated, to get heat talking about it. Because if they see that and they like it and they want to see more, you got more coming.
I'm super interested in seeing how is Dawn of the Dead? Is that what it's called?
Well, Dawn of the Dead is a totally separate idea.
Oh.
That's a totally separate web series. We filmed the pilot for that, and now we're going to film 4 to 8 radio dramas that we're hoping to use this as a big package to either turn it into a feature film or actually film the web series like we wanted to.
Okay.
This is All Hallows Eve that we're filming
All
next
Hallows
month.
Eve.
Yeah.
I'm super interested in seeing how that comes together because I've often thought about, like, well, how do you do it? Like, so if you film it in pieces, when you put it together, is it going to feel like chapters? Is it going to just kind of just seamlessly flow through? Like, do you have a strategy that you feel good about?
To me, the way we've got this planned out, I think makes the most sense for us because we're an independent film company, so therefore we don't have a lot of money to deal with. So by filming it in segments like this, they're standalone short films. You've got the Blood Money, you've got the Turning, and you've got the third one, okay? That means that since they're standalone short films, they have completely different casts. None of the cast members are going to come and cross into the wraparound. So we can film them at totally different times. We don't have to worry about people's hair growing out or getting older or whatever the case may be because they're not going to be coming up later in the movie. And the way they're plugged in and the way they incorporate themselves into the wraparound, it's not going to be like a Tales from the Crypt thing where he's going to be telling a story and you're going to know that this is one segment and this is one segment and that's one segment. We don't want it to be like that. We want it to fit seamlessly. So I've got it developed, which I can't tell you, of course, to where you're not going to know this was a segment until all of a sudden things start happening and you go, oh, okay, that was a separate short film. And then the second one is going to catch you by surprise as well. You're not going to know what's going on until the third short film. By that time, the third short film is going to be presented as basically, this is what we want you to see, so you're going to understand that. But the first two are going to catch the audience by surprise and not even know that those were totally separate from the actual process. But they're all going to tie in. So, like I said, without giving away too much, there's your teaser.
Dang it. Is it going to be like Crash?
No, but I love Crash. I love Crash. Crash was a great movie.
So that sounds great. Now, is there anything that people can audition for that you're working on coming up or right now?
Well, The Turning, we've got, it's basically going to be the main cast is 4 people. I've got 3 of them already cast, so I'm looking for one more role for that. The third one, we haven't even started casting for you. And then the wraparound, I've got some of the main actors, which are going to be some genre legends from back in the 80s. Linnea Quigley from Return of the Living Dead. She signed on. Bring Stevens, who's the legendary Scream Queen. She's going to be involved. Debbie Rochon, who's another legendary Scream Queen that's done all kinds of popular 80s movies. So it's a whole marketing thing. We're going to have these people who have huge followings from back in the 80s and 90s that have never appeared on screen together for the first time. We're all going to get together for this wraparound. So we're real excited about that.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Who's like the biggest or most famous star that you've ever worked with, or actor?
The most famous star that I've ever worked with, well, in one of my films, would probably have to be Tom Savini. Because, like I said, he's worked with George Clooney. He's a legendary effects guy. He directed the remake of Night of the Living Dead. There's a new streaming service called Shudder, which is just horror films, and it's actually run by there's a show on there right now, a brand new show called Creep Show, where they turned it into a series that just came on there, and that's being run by Greg Nicotero, who runs Night of the Living Dead. And Tom Savini just directed the latest episode that was on there. So he's worked with so many different famous people, and he's probably the most famous person that's ever worked on one of my projects. Yeah. Another one is a local guy, Lee Perkins. I met him through a film festival many, many years ago. We've been friends ever since, and he's such a great actor. I got him to work in my film, The Lost, and he's actually going to be working in my Blood Money film as well. And he's been in a lot of big movies, and he's a fantastic actor, and he runs an acting workshop out there, too.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, I saw him in The Lost. And I used to do a workshop, or I used to go to a workshop that he went to. Yeah, he's awesome.
He is great. I highly recommend his workshops.
I gotta go. Just working all the time.
You can learn all about his workshops by joining my Tampa Bay Filmmakers group.
Oh yeah. So when you cast, do you go straight to your group first?
Well, I don't necessarily go straight to my group first. I definitely put it in my group. I put it on my main Facebook page, but I'm also parts of many other groups for casting groups, where there are actors, actresses, locals, and stuff like that. And I try to put it out there because that's where everybody's looking for work.
Right.
So I just post it out there as many times as I can and get people to send me what they can.
All right. 2020, any big things that you have planned, or still working your way through 2019?
Well, I'm still working through 2019, but I have plans. I want 2020 to finally be our breakout year. So we've got a couple of projects that we're really excited about that we're getting. I have got a feature film script called Lycanthrope that's about a werewolf, but it's something that I obviously can't direct because it's going to have to be a big money project. That's been submitted to a couple of screenwriting festivals, and it's actually become, it was actually a finalist at the New York City Horror Film Festival, which is one of the biggest horror film festivals in the country, and it's been a finalist at another one, and I've got a couple others that it's going to be presented at as well. So I'm just hoping that eventually it's going to be, somebody's going to get some eyes on that script and get excited about that, and let's make it. I'm ready for it.
All right. Do you run your own production company right now?
I kind of do, yeah. I have a production company called Enigma Films that I've been doing on my own for a while, and I've got a new one, that GVT Films, which is going to be my faith-based inspirational arm. And the GVT came to me from a good friend and one of the best actresses I've ever met. Her name is Diana Durango. She was in my Mirror Mirror and Something Left to Give, and she had mentioned to me where she talks about always trying to get together and do good by people and trying to make something that is going to affect people positively. And she said, let's be part of the Good Vibe Tribe. And that just stuck with me. Good Vibe Tribe. I love that. So I made GVT Films.
Well, that sounds good. So if everything goes, let's say, perfectly next year, what are the things that we would be hearing about?
You'll be hearing, if everything goes perfectly, you're going to be getting some kind of a press release talking about Quentin Tarantino saying that he's hiring Rick Danford to develop this different project here. And I'll be making the announcements myself. I'll be moving to L.A., and I'll be thanking everybody around here and trying to bring as much work for all the great people that have bent over backwards to help me get my stuff done, and finally giving them their just due.
That is awesome. Well, Rick, this has been really good.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
I keep feeling like I'm forgetting one thing, but I think I covered everything. Just want to make sure before I go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Creature Feature did that. That's everything.
Yeah, I think we did good.
Lisa Yambo's podcast. What's it called?
I'm not sure. I think I got to ask her about that. I think I asked her this morning. I don't think she gave me a name for it. It's something she's just experimenting with. I think that I think I may only be the second person she's actually interviewed right now, but it's something that she's getting going. But that's what I love about her. She's like every day she's thinking up something new and she's putting something out there, whether it's good, whether it's goofy, whether it's serious. It doesn't matter. She's making product, and
Yeah.
she's ambitious.
She was in our she did our stunts training once.
Oh,
Is it a film podcast?
well, we did film, so I believe it's film. I haven't seen it, so but I
Okay.
believe it's film. Yeah.
But it's about filmmaking.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
She asked me about stuff like a lot of stuff you asked me.
All right, that's good. Yeah, I'm hoping that more people start doing film podcasts locally. You know, it's just kind of like helps the community circulate everything. So, well, great, man. I really looked forward to doing this because I had been hearing about you for so long, and seeing your posts. Now I met you. You're just as awesome as everyone says, and
Thank
how
you.
I thought. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
No, I love what you're doing. I love your enthusiasm. You're very professional, and I love what you're trying to do by getting more word out there for people and bringing the community together, because there's so many people that just go and worry about getting their stuff done. And to me, we've got so much talent and so many resources here that for the people that are trying to pull people together like that, like yourself, whatever it is, I'm behind them 110%.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. This has been Rick Danford, episode 30 of Tampa Film Podcast. We're going to link to all your stuff in the description here.
Sounds great.
Thanks so much. And for those who were wondering about the butterfly, couple crew positions that we could use, just reach out to us on email and check the post in Tampa Film Network. You'll see the details there. But everything's looking good. And Good Friends is getting closer and closer. Sorry we've been taking so long with the edit on that, but we're getting there. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and follow Tampa Film Network on all platforms: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook especially. And if you want to be on the show, send us an email, tampafilmnetworks with the S at gmail.com, or just message the group or page directly. I'm Termaine Jenkins. We are out.